What's going on YouTube? iDoc Live here yet again, also known as IDCL here yet again. And today we're going to be talking about none other than Tom Clancy's The Division beta that just ended actually. I wanted to get all of my hours in that I could after I gave my impressions on this beta and where I stand with The Division and whatnot. Now first and foremost, I ran this beta on a GTX 970 and FX-8350. Luckily, yes, I have my GTX 970 back. Well, actually, I have a newer edition. Now I have the Asus Strix edition, and surprisingly, it's running better for some reason than the last version I had, which was an MSI Gaming 4G GTX 970, and it's amazing because the Strix edition is supposed to be slightly worse in clock speed than the MSI edition, but for some reason, every game is running better than they have ever ran. And I'm happy with that. I feel like I have a cherry-picked Asus Strix GTX 970, and it's fucking amazing. But anyway, that's for another video. What we're talking about is Tom Clancy's The Division. I ran this on FX-8350 and GTX 970 on the PC, and to be honest, it is optimized greatly. The game is optimized very, very good for the most part, especially when you tweak your settings and whatnot. But anyway, optimization is great, but of course the most noticeable thing of the entire beta is the fact that it looks nothing like the E3 presentations that we have seen over the past 2 years. And to be honest, you shouldn't be surprised by now, because you gotta look at who's making it and look at their track record since like Assassin's Creed 3. This is Ubisoft, man. They have been doing this for years. When Assassin's Creed 3 came out, it didn't look as good as this E3. Recently, Watch Dogs came out. Not recently, but as of 2 years ago, recently, Watch Dogs didn't look shit like its E3 presentation, and same goes for Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege. Does not look like its E3 presentation, so we really shouldn't be surprised by now. You really have to put that in your head that this game is going to look downgraded by the time it releases, especially if it's delayed at least even once, because I knew it after the first delay that this shit was just not going to turn out how we expected it to graphically. But that's graphics, you have to expect that, and that's the most obvious of it all. Now getting into the gameplay, this is the funny thing about it, because at first Division sort of gave us that vibe that it was a co-op RPG. Now with the beta, because I didn't play the alpha and I didn't play the closed beta, I got my computer back just in time to get into this open beta, and it feels more like an MMO. You know what I'm saying? It feels more like a massive multiplayer online type game, and the aspects are of course still RPG, because an MMO is still an RPG, but it feels more loose than that. Like it's like a mixture of Gears, Splinter Cell, and I'll probably say Ghost Recon all in one in some type of way. And it's weird because at first when I started playing, I was like, man, this is some boring ass shit, and I'm just 2 hours in saying this. But the more I played, the more I started to enjoy it and started to realize there's a different way you have to play this game. The game is structured a lot different. It's broken into PvE and PvP aspects and whatnot, just like an MMO. So you have to go at it like that. And PvE is wonderful. And I think Level Cap Gaming talked about this and whatnot. He did talk about this, not I think, but he did talk about this aspect with the PvP. It's sort of broken right now because it's set to where if you decide to go rogue and just shoot somebody randomly like an actual player, you're gonna be marked on the entire map for everyone to see, and everyone is gonna see you as a red dot pretty much, and they have the option to kill you without consequence. Now that's bad, because even if you try to defend yourself, you're in a situation to where you'll make shit even worse for yourself, because it's all broken down by a timer and whatnot, and the timer grows the more you do bad shit. So if you try to defend yourself while somebody's shooting at you, because they are obligated to shoot at you since they see you as a red dot and that it's cool to kill you, you can be punished even further. And that is kind of ridiculous, and that is only the tip of the iceberg of it. It's really mixed up when it comes to the PvP aspect. Now the PvE is fun as hell if you have a group with you. The game, you got to take in consideration that this game has changed from what it was. It really has. It's no longer an RPG that is with co-op aspect. It's just like a mini MMO, I guess I could say. You know, it's weird how it works. And also, the one thing I hated about it at first is the way these fucking enemies are bullet sponges. That's what the Gears of War aspect that I talked about comes into play. They feel like Splinter Cell and Gears of War because the shooting is like Splinter Cell and Ghost Recon, but the overallness of killing an enemy in this game is like Gears of War. You're fighting vigilantes and shit with baseball caps on, holding pistols and whatnot, and maybe submachine rifles and whatnot, while you're holding an assault rifle and you're blasting them in the head, and they're just not dropping until you get like through half a clip to get them done. And that's where I said this is an MMO. This is no longer a straight up shooter RPG. It's none of that shit. It's more of an MMO because they're trying to give it, I guess, that feeling or whatever, but in their own aspect. It's strange how the game plays out, but they need to change up that PvP aspect because it's really fucking it up kind of from what it can be. Being plain and simple. Now, the game is different. It is. This is no longer the game of the year contender that I thought it may have could been, but this still can be a pretty good game. You know, it can be pretty good. Now, the graphical downgrade, it depends on how you feel about graphics and whatnot. Yes, it's a bait and switch like a motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? But you had to see this shit coming. When Ubisoft delays the game, even if it's just one time, just know that something is going to take a hit. Something is. So for the most part, I'll probably give this, if I had to score it, and yes, I'm only scoring this off the top of my head, and I don't do scores anymore for actual reviews, but I would probably give it like a 7 out of 10 as of right now or whatnot, this beta. Because for one, it's optimized very well, at least on my rig it is. And two, when you think about it as a different type of genre of gaming, not different type of genre, but you think about it being in a different category rather than what we expected and thought it would be because of the hype, then you start to enjoy it more. This game is boring as fuck without multiple people. Plain and simple. Don't play it without a group, okay? You can get used to it for a minute, but as you go along, get some people with you because it's real boring traveling the city alone. That's all I have to say, basically. I somewhat liked the beta. It was cool with me. Wasn't amazing by any means, but it was cool. The more you play it, the more you get used to how it runs and whatnot and how it works. But they need to fix that fucking PvE. That is like necessary because that shit is annoying. But anyway, this is iDoc Life. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and I'm out. Peace. If that card is better, why not just get that one instead of the 970? This is why I'm torn, and it pertains more to the fact that NVIDIA's extras in their card, they benefit me a lot. And I'm not talking about physics and GameWorks, because GameWorks is pretty much dog shit on the past few games, like Batman Arkham Knight for one. That shit, it just was terrible on the fucking card with that shit. But basically, the number one extra